Super fantastic sparkling day. Welcome to Porchlight Letters podcast number 2382. Today we tackle the genealogy question of what if the story I find changes how I see my family? This is a great question. And new stories can reshape identity, but you also have to remember to put them into the context of the time. What was their economic climate? What was the political climate? What was happening around there with, and we'll get into that more as we go on. But discoveries challenge family narratives all the time. Sometimes a discovery unsettles a story that has been told for generations. A family that believed an ancestor was a successful businessman. Sorry, I got to get all those S's out of my mouth. May uncover records showing repeated financial struggle. Again, stories change over time as they're retold. Things are embellished a little bit, but when you get underneath and find the truth, you find that he wasn't successful. He was repeatedly showing repeated financial struggles. Another family might discover an adoption or a hidden relationship that was never spoken about. Yes, sometimes you find those things in there. These moments, and sometimes you discover that that a wife was pregnant when she was married. Was it his child? Was it somebody else's child? Those questions get raised. All sorts of things. These moments can feel like ground shifting beneath familiar history. They remind us that family narratives are often simplified versions of more complex realities. Emotional reactions are normal. When a discovery changes how we see our family, emotional reactions are natural. Someone learns about a hidden bankruptcy that might feel embarrassed or disappointed. Another person uncovering an ancestor's imprisonment may feel shock or sadness. These reactions do not mean the discovery is wrong or harmful. They simply reflect how closely we tie identity to family stories. Emotion is part of the process of understanding. And understanding differs from judgment. It's easy to slip from understanding into judgment, especially when viewing past actions through modern values. For example, learning that an ancestor left their family might initially trigger anger. They left, how dare they? Arr! But when and it is a big but, when historical context reveals poverty, war, or social pressures, the picture becomes more nuanced. Understanding asks what conditions shape the behavior. Judgment asks who to blame. Family history grows when we lean toward understanding. Excuse me. Stories deepen family complexity. New information really weakens a family story. Sorry, I can't get words out of my mouth today. I'm sorry. Maybe I need some water. It adds layers. A discovery of hardship may reveal resilience that was previously invisible. You hear of, the father left the family. Why did he leave the family? That's because they were poor and he had to go away to work in order to provide for his family. So what did that do? He put family first and found ways and means to provide for them so that they could keep living in things. Yes, they had to be apart for a while. It could be that they, like in one of my ancestors' stories, the third great-grandfather, the fourth great-grandfather, and a historical figure all left the area of Kentucky and went up into Indiana to find property for their family to move to. And it's like, well, why did they have to move so far away? Simply because the government reclaimed the land. The government came in and said, you can no longer live here. We are taking back the land that we gave you. Now you got to go find somewhere to live. They were gone for a year, finding a place, getting everything set up. Then they went back and picked up the family and moved. So that's why they were apart for that amount of time. When you put that into context, it's like, okay, now I better understand what was going on. You've now got a different perspective on things. So when you discover a hardship that may reveal resilience, well, that was previously invisible, these are the type of details you need in your story. What was going on at the time that forced the family to be apart? Another one, same family, the fifth great-grandmother was kidnapped by Indians and taken from Virginia, her place in Virginia, and taken to Canada. She was there held as sold into slavery. 20 years later, a French doctor came in and brought up all these female slaves and sent them back to their homes and families. she turned up, and at the time when she was kidnapped, her 1-year-old son was crying in his crib as she was dragged away. Her husband was away fighting for his country. When she came back 20 years later, her 1-year-old baby is now a 20-year-old male. And when she explained who she was and why she was back and all of that, he said that his father had found out where she was and had left a few days beforehand to go find her. He had been searching for her for 20 years. He never gave up looking. She never gave up looking, trying to get back home. She finally gets back home. She then gets on a horse and takes off after him, comes across some people on a knoll somewhere in Virginia. The article never mentions where in Virginia it is because they don't know. And they said they don't know, it was somewhere in Virginia. And so she goes over to ask them if they had seen her husband, and they were having a funeral for her husband who had passed away from a fever the day before. So the article says they allowed her a few moments to look upon his face before they finished burying him. And so, of course, she then returned back home to her son. So you've got these stories. What happened there? Why were they apart for so long? She was sold into slavery. It happened. So just be aware that in that time, this is what was going on in that area. This is what the economical climate was. This is what the political climate was. This is what was happening. This is the type of people that they were. It happened to just anybody. She was out hanging laundry on her clothing when these marauding Indians came through and kidnapped her, left her 1-year-old son behind crying in his crib. And I have to go back and read the article, but I believe in the story it said that when the father came home, that's when he found out that his wife had been kidnapped. Who had been looking after the baby during this time? We don't know. The article doesn't say. So, but when he got back home, he started searching for her and searched for her for 20 years. Never gave up looking for her. Finally found out where she was, so went to collect her and died along the way. This is what happens. So find those details for the story. For example, uncovering that a grandmother worked multiple jobs to support her children during economic hardship can transform a simple memory of strictness into a deeper appreciation of sacrifice. Processing takes time. Some deliveries need space before they settle. After uncovering a painful story, it is common to feel unsettled for a while. A person who learns about a hidden sibling or a long-kept secret may need time to adjust their sense of family identity. Trust me on this one. I have talked with people who have discovered their birth family, and some of them have contacted their birth family and been shunned as it wasn't possible, blah, 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 blah. That's not true. Others have found their birth families and were gratefully accepted. Others found their birth family but didn't want to contact the family because the person had the birth parent had married and had their own family, and they didn't want to upset everybody in the family. So there's different reasons when people who have been separated from their birth families want to reach out to their birth families but don't know how or if it's a good idea and things like that. So there's specialists out there that you can work with on how to approach your family. Maybe there's somebody that you can approach on the outside of the family to get a sense of the inside of the family. There's all different ways around doing that. I am slowly learning this about contacting birth families and things like that. And DNA has blown this wide open. I've got a third cousin, a half third cousin. And so how is it a half? Because the person descends from my second great grandmother's second husband. So therefore they are half, because I am no blood relation to her second husband's family, only to her and her first husband. Her first husband died in a mining accident. She got married again a year later and had another family with this. And that the half third cousin descends on her new husband's side of the family. Hence the reason. And she's been but I will tell you this, DNA blows everything wide open, because suddenly you're finding people, you're like, I don't recognize this name. And when you start researching, you find out that this person, in this case, my half third cousin, she knew who her birth father was, and we were able to connect all the dots and all of that through the DNA. And it was done through DNA that they were able to match all of this. But she hasn't yet approached her birth family. And then I've got other cousins who I have discovered were were born out of wedlock, were not recognized by the husband that got married, or not recognized by their birth family, and they want to know, how do I connect with my birth family? I tell you, it's DNA. If you're doing a DNA test, you must be prepared for the unexpected. The DNA will uncover things that people may not want uncovered. It can help solve mysteries in families as to what happened to this person during this time. They seem to have fallen off the face of the earth. Or maybe they were sent away to a home for unwed mothers where they had a child that was immediate, that once they gave birth to the child, it was adopted out. It may have been an in-family adoption. It may have been an informal family adoption where it was an adoption arranged within the family, but there was no formal paperwork to state it was an adoption. It could be they were adopted out to a completely different family altogether. DNA uncovers the unexpected and the secrets. Be prepared for whatever the results will show you. A person who learns about a hidden sibling or a long-kept secret may need time to adjust their sense of family reality. Reflection, conversation, and even stepping back from research can be part of healthy processing. Understanding really happens instantly. If you find you've got there's a secret relative that suddenly pops up into your tree, yes, it's going to change your perspective of the family. It may change your perspective of the birth parent of that child. It may, but you've got to remember, step back from research for a little bit and process everything. And as I say, understanding really happens instantly, very rarely. Why does this all matter? Unprocessed discoveries can create disconnection, both from family history and from living relatives. Taking time to integrate new understanding allows stories to become bridges rather than barriers. Practical takeaway for today: give yourself space to integrate new understanding. And if you want support navigating difficult discoveries, send us a private message. We'll set up a no obligation free discovery call to help get you on the path to navigating these difficult discoveries that you've done. And in closing, truth does not weaken family history, it expands it. And with that, we are out of here. Go out, have a super fantastic, sparkling evening. Tomorrow evening, we have got the Zanakin Studio week 4 podcast going on at 5 p.m. Pacific time. I will be here at 6 p.m. Pacific time for Porchlight Letters podcast. If you want to join the Zanakin one, you need to go to youtube.com/ at Zanakin Studio. Actually, I'm going to have to change all of this, QR codes and everything, but still come join us in this fall. / Zanakin Studio. And we will be live on YouTube. We only stream to YouTube tomorrow evening at 5 p.m. Pacific. But at 6 p.m. Pacific, I will be back here with your next question on genealogy.